Ian's always very worried that I'm just going to ask nerdy questions.
Detailed formation changes and things, yeah.
Yes.
March 2025. Pre-season training is in full swing for the Red Arrows. With the airshow season fast approaching, Plains TV has gone backstage at RAF Waddington and sat down with members of the team to comb through their 2025 display in forensic detail.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to present the 1993 Royal Air Force aerobatic team, the Red Arrows.
Well, the Red Arrows need no introduction, and they truly epitomise the excellence and professionalism of today's Royal Air Force.
The Red Arrows are now coming into their 61st season of displays, and in every one of those 61 seasons, the team has performed a different show. It may be one team, but the manoeuvres come and go. Yet, every year, along with those new and refreshed manoeuvres, a handful of familiar shapes and crowd favourites have endured.
As a special tribute, in the 50th anniversary of the Dambusters raid, the team come towards us.
The smoke comes on. This is Lancaster.
Watch now then as they span out in spectacular fashion in the Vixen break.
The Royal Air Force aerobatic team, the Red Arrows.
Good afternoon, Duxford. I am Squadron Leader Graeme Muscat. I'm Red 10.
Tasked with guiding the crowd through the action is Red 10 Squadron Leader Graeme Muscat.
You probably watch more Red Arrows displays and practices than anyone else.
Yep.
So you're very familiar with that routine. It changes a bit from one year to the next, which is not something that a lot of aerobatic teams do. As a spectator, I'm thrilled about that because it freshens things up, but there's also an analytical part of my mind that thinks there must be a scientifically optimal Red Arrows display routine. How do you work out how much to change things?
Well, actually the decision is completely made by Red 1. He's the one that designs the show from start to finish. Now, if you change the whole show from start to finish, that's a massive task, even for the guys that have been in it the last 2 to 3 years. So Red 1 has to come up with a very specific way of designing a new show, but you're right, we changed the show to freshen it up because, as you say, there's a lot of teams out there that don't change the show from year to year, and we want to bring that fresh and exciting new show to the public every year.
From a pilot perspective, and especially from a safety and supervision perspective, we need to guard against complacency. So by moving the pilots around the formation, generally getting further away from the team leader as they gain an experience, and by changing that display sequence each year, that all helps to avoid complacency, which is human nature. It's nobody's fault, but the moment you get too comfortable flying upside down at 100 feet is the moment you need to start thinking about things, because nobody should be comfortable at 100 feet upside down.
Yeah.
And then really looking at the maneuver selection, we will look at whether there's a significant event that year, an anniversary, either within the team or just within the STEM areas. So for example, a few years ago we brought Apollo back to represent the moon landings, things like that. And then we're looking at what was popular. So certain maneuvers like Tornado, which is always a crowd favourite, so we're tending to keep that one in for a few years. And then last year bringing back the 4-5 split, which is just a different way of getting into the second half, but actually really effective.
And doing it with coloured smoke this year, I understand.
Well, we might be, yeah, still to be released this year's display, but we're certainly keeping the 4-5 split in there.
The 5-4 split was brought back to the Red Arrows routine last year, having not been flown since 1993.
Watch them to separate into 2 sections in the 5-4 split.
It returns to the show in 2025 and is immediately followed by another old manoeuvre that's been resurrected, Twister, last flown in 2016.
Red 5's now going to roll around the rest of Enid in a manoeuvre we call the Twister.
From this point on, the team splits into 2 groups. Reds 1 to 5 are called Enid, and Reds 6 to 9 are called Hannah, with the 2 sections taking turns to perform manoeuvres. This is the team's best opportunity to inject creativity into the display.
We actually have a Bible. It's called the Display Directive, which has all the manoeuvres that we've done over the last 60 years, and they'll look through it, and then there'll be some manoeuvres that they did in, I don't know, 1980 or 1981, 85, and we'll look at them and go, that sounds good. Then we speak to ex-team members who are like, don't ever do that again, because it just didn't work. So what we want to do is we want to change it up.
No.
So I'm going to try and pick your brain on a specific case study.
Okay.
This is actually something from last year. Python became serpent.
Yep.
Now, I am fascinated by that little tweak. Was that a technical change to improve the flow of the show, or was that an aesthetic change?
Both. So Python was effectively 2 barrel rolls in the sky, and we found that the second barrel roll was quite a way off from the show centre. So what Squadron Leader Bond wanted to do, Bondy, he wanted to centralise the show and have more in front of the crowd. So you have the first barrel roll, and then he does the coils of the snake. So it's effectively a new manoeuvre. So instead of calling it Python, we'll say, right, we'll just call it something else. Serpent.
There's a new manoeuvre this year, a completely new manoeuvre, I think, which is chainsaw. I don't think the Reds have ever done that before, have they?
Nope.
How did that come about?
We want to change it up, so we will make new manoeuvres. And this is actually a manoeuvre come up from Red 6. Last year we had mirror roll and mirror flat, so it's a very similar point in the show. It's a very different manoeuvre, quite technical for them to master, especially with 6 and 9 being upside down for so long. And it works. So we try it. We look at it technically, we look at it aesthetically, and they take my opinion. How does it look? And I'll tell them if it doesn't look that good, or it's not worth it, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, then we'll drop it. But actually, I think it's quite a good manoeuvre.
Something else that's changed this year is your display finale. You did something kind of similar in 1998, I think. Vixen brake, an opposition barrel in front of it.
Yep.
This time around, it's palm split with opposition barrel in front of it.
Again, we've done a Vixen brake last year. When we had Squadron Leader Bold, we had the Infinity brake, which again ends with the kind of bloom. So it's just trying something different. Now what we want to do is obviously try and bring Synchro in, because we haven't brought Synchro into that finale for a number of years now. It's only ever been a 7 chip. So let's bring the 9 in. So that's why I do the opposition barrel roll as the palm split happens. They don't do it as part of the Vixen. They just have the normal Vixen brake with the 7 chip in the background.
Now there's one manoeuvre that I'm aware exists, but I haven't actually seen anything of it yet. Maybe we'll see it during the practice flight later today. I think it's called Tempest.
Yep.
Describe that to me.
I don't want to give too much away.
Okay.
What I will say is the effect is very much like the Infinity brake. It kind of, and the 60th last year. If you're right at show centre, it's a nice little surprise. If you're slightly off, then the surprise is a little bit ruined. But if you're on show centre, so I encourage everybody to get to show centre to get the effect of Tempest. I won't give too much away, but there's a nice little surprise in it.
This short film was just part of a longer production, going into far more detail about how those new manoeuvres were created and practiced, and also exploring some of the team's other off-season activity. You can watch the full-length version on our Plains TV streaming service. And if you want to see what the finished display looks like, we'll be broadcasting many of the Red Arrows performances this summer as we follow the team to air shows around the UK and abroad.